Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're embarking on a really remarkable journey looking into the life and career of Bhavesh Bati. His path, well, it isn't just a resume, is it? It's more like a story of relentless problem solving, fueled by this extraordinary resilience that led to, well, multiple reinventions.
Absolutely. It's quite the story.
We've pulled together quite a stack of sources for this one, personal accounts, professional narratives, industry insights, even his own pretty comprehensive resume. So our mission today isn't just to list events chronologically. We want to really unpack how this one individual spirit, his unique ability to spot unmet needs, took him from being a student facing, frankly, immense hardship, all the way to becoming a solar energy pioneer, and then ultimately into this cutting edge world of decentralized finance for climate action.
And what jumps out immediately when you look at Bhavesh Bati's story is this consistent knack he has for identifying, systemic inefficiencies, whether that was back in telecommunications or later in traditional energy grids, or even something like complex project management. His journey just profoundly showcases this exceptional adaptability. He's always looking to apply innovative, sometimes really audacious solutions to these grand challenges, often against, pretty considerable odds.
So let's jump right in then. Let's explore those early sparks of his entrepreneurial spirit and the pivotal, often really challenging moments that shaped his unique path. Okay, let's start at a really pivotal point in his early life. Our sources paint this picture of Bhavesh Bati in the early 2000s as, well, someone with a wildly imaginative mind, just constantly observing the world. But picture this. He's a student trying to survive on just 500 rupees a month from his father. Barely anything. And on top of that, grappling with the pressure of having dropped out of 2 different university courses. First, a medical doctor program, then aeronautical engineering. He was even apparently thrown out of his hostel, couldn't find any job, not even in call centers, almost no money. Ended up living in railway stations, ashrams. That's a really tough spot.
Yeah, that kind of intense personal difficulty raises a critical question, doesn't it? What actually compels someone, when they're facing circumstances that dire, to not just notice a problem in society, but to actually envision a robust, scalable solution? It's quite a remarkable shift, really, moving from that mindset of scarcity to one of, innovation.
Exactly. And it was right in the middle of this personal struggle that Bhavesh noticed this really common problem in India back then, people running out of mobile balance, which was a huge issue because, you were charged even for incoming calls then. So he came up with this solution. He called it China Credit for Vodafone. The idea was simple. A super microloan, just 10 rupees, sent via SMS. It would then be automatically deducted plus a 10% interest the next time you recharged your phone. Now, that 10% sounds okay, but our sources suggest the real interest rate, considering the short term, was actually over 40%. But for Bhavesh, it wasn't purely about profit, was it? It was about enabling people to make those emergency calls. Maybe they were sick or had an accident. It came from understanding that everyday hardship.
Yeah. This early China Credit idea, it really reveals a foundational piece of his whole approach. Identify a widespread mass market need, propose a financially viable but actually pretty simple tech solution.
Yeah.
It speaks to this deep empathy he seems to have for practical, everyday problems most people would just, accept. He saw a systemic gap there.
And here's where things get really interesting and where he learned, a pretty painful lesson. Armed with printouts he made at a cyber cafe, he actually traveled by train, even walked part of the way, apparently, right to Vodafone's corporate office in Chennai. Explain the whole concept. So you can just imagine how devastating it must have been later, seeing China Credit launched with their mascot on huge billboards all over the country, and seemingly no contact, no payment for him.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's the classic agonizing entrepreneurial nightmare, isn't it? The struggle of protecting your idea when you're just one person against a giant corporation with endless resources. The legal advice he got afterwards, basically, focus on your next brilliant idea. Don't waste everything fighting a battle you probably can't win. I mean, that must have been crushing. But ultimately, pragmatic, right? Especially given the pressure he felt, even afraid to go home after dropping out twice. That period, it really forged his resilience. You can see that.
Right. So after that Vodafone experience, during this time where he was, literally wandering without a place to live, he took that hard advice. He shifted his focus entirely. And what inspired him, our sources tell us, was Al Gore's documentary, An Inconvenient Truth, a big moment. He felt this overwhelming call to dive into the solar energy sector, driven by this really strong commitment to tackling climate change. And his goal was, incredibly ambitious, but also beautifully simple. empower even the average person living in a hut in India to have their own power, just from a single solar panel. Energy access for everyone.
That pivot, it's quite dramatic, isn't it? From mobile microloans to decentralized solar. It really shows a deeper conviction there, something beyond just problem solving for profit. It highlights this dedication to tackling these huge environmental social challenges, particularly through solutions that empower people directly at the community level. And that theme, decentralization, it pops up again later in his career, which is fascinating.
And that's how Bati Energy came about. Initially, just a proprietorship back in 2011, focusing on small stuff like solar street lights for local village governments in Gujarat. Then in 2014, it formally became Bati Energy Private Limited. He co-founded it with Gunajit Brahma. But what's really striking is how Bhavesh built it right from scratch, creating the business plans, meticulously meeting clients, doing all the online marketing himself, even building the company website initially. He was just single-handedly driving this vision for a greener future.
Yeah, that hands-on sort of end-to-end involvement in Bati Energy's early days is really remarkable. It shows he had this holistic grasp of building a company, right? From the technical side to the market outreach, even nurturing those crucial CXO relationships and handling imports. He understood every piece of it.
And the company grew fast. Within just 4 years, he'd built up a team of 36 people. They quickly went from just supplying streetlights to becoming a full-service EPC provider that's engineering, procurement, and construction for solar projects. So they were managing the whole life cycle. Design, sourcing, installation, commissioning, big stuff. They handled multi-megawatt projects, even secured and managed a huge 25-megawatt PV project over in Bulgaria worth 14 million euros. And our sources confirm he hit a remarkable $10 million in annual recurring revenue within just 5 years. That's serious growth, especially in the solar sector back then.
Absolutely. And beyond just the impressive financials, Bati Energy's work clearly showed this commitment to innovation and a strong social mission. Like they designed these really robust cyclone-proof structures for solar panels. Think about extreme weather. Plus, their stated practice of capping profits under 10% so more benefits went to underprivileged communities. And Bhavesh personally mentoring African entrepreneurs online. It really underscores that mission-driven core.
Yeah, and they weren't just about the huge projects either. They innovated with practical, community-level solutions too. Like they developed these theft-proof portable solar power packs up to 2 kilowatts, powerful enough to run water pumps for farming. And they actually worked with NGOs in Zambia and South Africa to get these systems to smallholder farmers for irrigation, directly tackling food security. They even had this pure water idea in the works, a fully solar-powered standalone water pump with built-in RO and UV purification for clean drinking water. Amazing potential there.
That duality is really interesting, isn't it? Pursuing these large commercial projects, but also constantly innovating for that grassroots impact. It highlights this consistent theme running through his journey, using cutting-edge tech to give more people equitable access to essential things like energy and water. And his collaborations, with research institutes in Crimea, Russia, and the Finnish Utility Forum, they just show his ambition was always international, reaching far beyond India.
Okay, so even as Bati Energy was growing, thriving really, Bhavesh, with that persistent eye for inefficiency, started noticing a different kind of problem, a new layer. Our sources reveal that between, say, 2006 and 2015, while he's building Bati Energy, he identified literally thousands of these little pain points in the solar sector itself. He realized that the hardware, the panels, the components, that was improving all the time. But the software side of things, the project execution, that was lagging way behind. He saw good, viable projects facing what he called death at concept stage. Why? Fragmented management tools, scattered financial data, inefficient designs. It just made large-scale deployment incredibly difficult and cumbersome. And that insight, that became the seed for his next venture.
That's fascinating, isn't it? Because it shows he recognized something critical, something often overlooked. Even in a hardware-heavy industry like solar, it's the underlying software, the coordination, the data management that often dictates how fast you can scale, how efficient you can be. His experience across different sectors, from telecom complexity to energy project management, probably gave him that unique perspective to spot that bottleneck. So he shifted again, didn't he? From just focusing on generating physical energy to thinking about building the digital infrastructure the whole sector needed.
Yeah, that's exactly right. He wanted to tackle these deep-rooted solar project issues with, a new digital platform, something to bring order and efficiency to that chaos. So he decided to build Norinco OU, and he set it up in Estonia back in 2017. Chose Estonia specifically because it's known as a digital First Nation, very innovation-friendly. And the plan initially was to bootstrap it completely, funding it from Bati Energy's earnings and his own savings.
Yeah, that move to Estonia, it really shows his strategic thinking, doesn't it? His willingness to find environments that actively support the kind of digital solutions he was trying to build. It was a definite shift towards a more tech-focused way of solving this global energy problem.
But then, just as Norinco was getting going and Bati Energy was really hitting its stride, this completely unforeseen global event happened, the COVID-19 pandemic. Global lockdowns just shattered supply chains, project development everywhere stalled, and Bhavesh himself got stuck, unexpectedly stranded in Germany during a business meeting. And this quickly went from being just a business problem to, a profound humanitarian challenge for him personally.
In this period, it really shows how leadership can just emerge in a crisis, right? Bhavesh didn't just sit back and wait. The sources show he immediately started reaching out, connecting with other stranded people, hearing their stories. He quickly set up WhatsApp groups, gathered info from over 1,000 stranded Indians in Germany, and then basically took charge. He represented them in virtual meetings with India's Ministry of External Affairs, even orchestrated a media campaign using his networking skills. And it worked. It contributed significantly to getting repatriation flights started within about 4 weeks. That wasn't about business at all. That was pure human connection and immediate problem solving under incredible pressure.
Absolutely incredible display of leadership, truly. But the fallout for his businesses was devastating. With the world basically shut down, supply chains broken, projects on hold.
Right.
Bati Energy PVT Ltd eventually closed its doors in 2021, and Norinco OU followed in 2022. So Bhavesh found himself with almost no income for nearly 2 whole years, 2020 and most of 2021. I mean, imagine that kind of blow after building everything up from nothing. Yet even facing this incredibly harsh new reality, Bhavesh just did not give up. That resilience we talked about, honed earlier, it's really something else. Our sources highlight this truly staggering fact. Between August 2021 and January 2022, he applied for over 2,500 jobs. Through LinkedIn, other job boards, that number, it just speaks volumes about his grit, his determination. Unbelievable.
Yeah, that relentless pursuit of just finding a new way forward, even after those huge setbacks. It really defines his entrepreneurial spirit, doesn't it? It shows this unwavering commitment he has to making an impact, whatever the field, whatever tools he needs to pick up and learn.
And all that relentless hard work eventually led him somewhere new. The burgeoning Web3 space. In February 2022, he joined Solid World DAO, that's a decentralized autonomous organization basically run by code and community, not top-down as their community manager. And get this, he achieved a remarkable 3x growth in their Discord members and LinkedIn followers. He then carried that success over to Declimate, another Web3 project, working as their community manager from September 22 to April 23. He drove significant engagement there, too, for their decentralized climate data layer built on Polygon. Achieved 2x growth in community engagement.
You know, that swift and successful jump into Web3 and decentralized tech, it actually makes perfect sense when you connect it back to his earlier passion for decentralized solar power.
Right.
Web3 offers these powerful new tools for coordination, for incentivizing action, and crucially for transparent measurement, reporting, and verification, MRV, which is absolutely vital for effective climate action, for carbon markets. So it feels like a natural evolution of his core passion for distributed impact. He just brought his skills in community building and real-world problem solving to this new digital frontier.
Exactly. And his passion for Web3 really solidified. It led him to found the MRV Foundation in September 2022. The vision was ambitious. A decentralized protocol for measurement, reporting, and verification. Think of it like a transparent, blockchain-based system to track and verify environmental impact, crucial for things like carbon credits to be trustworthy. He even successfully raised $45,000 through Gitcoin grants for it. But ultimately, due to the sheer technical complexity and, ongoing funding challenges in what's still a very new field, he couldn't keep the MRV Foundation going. He had to step away.
And that, again, just illustrates those inherent risks, the complexities you face when you're really pioneering brand new technologies, especially in these emerging spaces like decentralized MRV. Even with a great concept, successful initial funding, external factors, market readiness, the sheer scale of the challenge, they can derail even the best plans. A common story in true innovation, unfortunately.
Yeah, tough break. But despite that, his journey kept going. Most recently, starting in November 2023, our sources show he became a carbon offsets advisor for Carbify.io. Now, this sounds like a pretty significant role. It involves spearheading a partnership linked to the NYSE with potential for multi-billion-dollar annual revenue. So here he is again, leveraging that deep expertise he's built up in Web3 and DeFi, decentralized finance, and refi regenerative finance communities, tokenomics. It's really compelling to see him back on this kind of high-impact trajectory, connecting that entrepreneurial drive with global climate finance. So looking back at his entire journey, what really stands out is just the incredible breadth of Bhavesh Bati's expertise and his consistent, unwavering drive for solutions that actually have an impact. His resume, sure, but more importantly, his actual experience, it shows this astounding range. Solar PV, renewable energy policy, SaaS, fintech for green finance, Web3, DeFi, DAO community management, SCADA systems, IoT, big data, AI, blockchain, electric vehicles, water management, even behavioral sciences related to managing people. It's huge.
Yeah, when you connect all those diverse threads, it's clearly not just a list of jobs, is it? It's really a testament to lifelong learning, to radical adaptability, and this unique knack for synthesizing knowledge across totally different fields. His journey feels like this continuous evolution, always applying innovative solutions across diverse sectors, but always with that core focus underneath. Climate change mitigation, sustainable energy access. He sees the connections between systems, from that first mobile credit idea right up to a global carbon market.
And even now, with these high-level global roles, our sources show he's still deeply involved at the grassroots level. He's apparently active in over 20 refi and 30 DeFi communities, Discord, LinkedIn, X, showing he's still right there embedded in these movements. And he's also actively helping farmers back in India adopt better farming practices, involved in land regeneration projects. That shows his commitment to direct, on-the-ground change.
Yeah, exactly. It demonstrates that his commitment goes way beyond just traditional business ventures. It's deeply ingrained in community engagement, in direct environmental action. It reflects this core belief he seems to have in applying knowledge, making a tangible, real-world impact. He doesn't just talk about it. He actively gets involved in building and solving.
So what does this all mean for you listening in? Well, Bhavesh Bati's story is just such a vivid example, isn't it, of how that entrepreneurial spirit, when it's combined with this deep-seated passion for solving global problems, can lead to multiple reinventions, significant impact. Even when you navigate profound personal and professional setbacks, his journey wasn't about finding the path, it was about continuously creating new ones. Wow, what an incredible deep dive that was to the journey of Bhavesh Bati. From that very first China credit idea, born out of real hardship, to powering villages with solar, and now navigating this complex, decentralized world of Web3 for climate finance. His story is just such a powerful reminder that the path to making an impact, it's rarely a straight line, is it? Instead, it's often shaped by this unyielding desire to make a difference, to see problems not as, dead ends, but as invitations to innovate.
Yeah, his journey really underscores that idea, doesn't it? That breakthrough innovation so often comes from tackling the most tangible, real-world pain points. Whether that's a mobile balance issue, lack of energy access, or the need for trustworthy climate data. It kind of challenges us all to look at things that feel like failures, not as, endings, but maybe as crucial, sometimes painful pivots that actually refine our direction, strengthen our resolve in the long run.
Absolutely. His story really asks you, the listener, directly. When you hit a roadblock, something that seems impossible in your own life or work, what do you see? Do you see an impenetrable wall, or do you see an invitation? An invitation to find an entirely new, unexpected, maybe even more impactful direction than you ever imagined. What stands out most to you about Bhavesh Bati's journey, and how might that spark something in your own approach to problems and opportunities?